This is Movies, a podcast about the act of cinema. And with me today, of course, is Hans. Hans is going with a simple blue light tonight, but we can see more of your back. We can actually see your wall now. Oh, never mind.
There we go.
Back to
Yeah.
normal.
What's up? We're gonna talk
Not.
about cinema today. We're actually talking about cinema today,
We are
as
talking about
opposed to
cinema.
yeah, as opposed to I don't know. We do talk about cinema regularly. Uh,
Once upon a time, we might have talked about cinema every
right.
so often, and then we got into a spell of covering comic book films and covering blockbusters and everything else under that particular banner. But now we're going to be talking about a 1983 film. We're going to be talking about Angst. I forgot the title for a second.
Angry Boy,
Angst, also known as
Sausage Boy.
schizophrenia. Yeah, he
Oh,
loves
is
his
it?
sausages. Yeah, God.
That was such a like jarring thing to me that you would go to a restaurant and just order what a sausage and some kind of weird gravy that didn't look like gravy because it wasn't dark enough. It
Hmm.
was just kind of like light brown, and then a piece of bread, and you just eat the sausage like that, and uh, two girls stare at you with 80s hair.
Isn't that kind of every breakfast we had while shooting Mass State lotteries? We show up to a donut place or something, and it'd be a very similar
Well,
experience, I think.
yeah, it's sausage in bread though, not just no one was walking around with a hog on their hand. Well, yeah, not to eat. but,
I don't know. There were
but
plenty of
yeah,
mornings where Jerry wandered off and had breakfast by himself. I think I could imagine that. I could imagine him having that experience and being like, "Oh wow, these are New
oh,
Englanders, huh?" And
Boston.
just
This is the real Boston experience. Just clams with gravy.
so
Because
what?
they make a point of showing it twice. They
They
make a point of
do.
showing it. Okay, so Angst is the story of this very weird looking German guy in 1983. You have backstory, right, on like with the actual story because it's based on a
Yes, I
real one.
do. So,
Okay.
well, first I was going to ask, what was your first? Because you had told me when I suggested this as a show that you had seen it once
Mhm.
before. Now I hadn't even. You know what? I had seen someone's poster that they had made for this movie, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. Just because, and it stuck out in my head because the star of this film has such a distinct face. He's a very unhinged looking man. He's the perfect man you would want to capture on film in this specific role. It's like he was
Mhm.
made for it. So I had that kind of recognition with the feature, but I didn't know anything about it. I certainly didn't know of any of the activities or the shooting style of it. This was all made aware to me very recently. But what was the first time you had watched Angst?
When I was in film school, which was what 7, 8 years ago already. Holy shit. I uh I found a list of like shocking films or like shocking slash one of those lists where it's just a bunch of graphic movies, old graphic movies. And this one was there. And I just remember I downloaded it and I watched it, and it was just so weird or compared to everything that I've seen before that it always stuck in my head, at least his face. I
Hmm.
didn't really remember much of what happens, and I honestly remembered it being more graphic than it actually is. But yeah, that was like 8 years ago when I was like, yeah, let's watch shocking old horror movies, and then you realize after like the third one that they're mostly kind of not good.
Yeah,
You're like,
no.
oh cool, there's a movie built around this shocking one thing that happens, that's great. But this one sticks out because well, at least this second on the second viewing, I really enjoyed myself watching it.
Yeah, there's something I told myself right at the beginning of this movie where I was just like, this cute little dog is going to get the worst death in that. He's going to stomp this dog out. That dog's the first one to
uh
die. The dog goes and meets him upstairs. I'm just like, ready. I was ready for it, you know? And
the little sausage dog, he was gonna eat
yeah,
him.
yes, yeah. Something really horrible is going to happen. And you know what? Knowing Austria in the early 1980s, they'll probably just actually kill the dog in the movie,
Yep.
for
Milo
real.
and me,
You're right.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So
Milo and Otis,
Milo
is
and
it?
Otis,
Milo,
Marley and me,
yeah,
you combine that. Nah,
Marley. Yeah.
the dog dies at the end of that. It's all. I mean, it did happen according to the author, but it's all a work of fiction. And no, this is one of these rare early I don't even know if I'd really call this a horror film. I think it has horror tendencies, but
Hmm.
it falls in that same category as films like House that Jack Built or
Yeah.
Henry Portrait of a Killer. I think is probably the closest American comparison to this movie, Angst,
Mm-hmm.
where it doesn't feel like true horror. And it is true crime, much like Henry Portrait of a Killer, which was based on Henry Lee Lucas and what's his name, Otis Toole.
Otis Tool. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a movie about an actual guy, and everything more or less follows the same path that this movie takes. It was about a guy named Warner Niesick who was getting ready to be abandoned by his mother because his mother was like, this kid's too much for me. I
Sucks.
can't deal with this anymore. And I think she decided that when he was already a teenager. So imagine you've been around for like 14, 15 years, and now your mother's like, I don't want you anymore.
I can't
Like she's
stand
had
your
enough time to
face.
marinate on it. This is a
I don't like
very
the way you look at me when you have sausage for breakfast. It's it's very unnerving. It's weird. Uh,
and when he caught wind of this, he freaked out and stabbed her multiple times, and she lived. And he covers that. This character is like one for one with Warner Niesick. They don't ever name him.
okay.
I think his IMDb credit or whatever was like the psychopath. Which is fine. Okay, that's correct.
No
That's an
name.
apt
Yeah.
name. So he gets wind of that, and I guess he was originally planning to kill someone else once he got out, but he got scared away by a guard dog, and he's like, "All right, I'm not going after them." Instead, he went for a house where he knew everybody who lived in the house. He was familiar with that family. I don't think there was ever like a friendship or anything there, but it was one of those
Mm,
like people who you go to elementary school with, and you see them
right.
as you grow up. You don't necessarily interact with them. I think it was one of those situations
Just
where,
say
right,
if you walk
yeah,
by and just like, hey, yeah.
yeah. So he had some sort of familiarity with them before committing the murders, which you don't get in this movie. It's just
Right.
it's literally the
Random.
first house he stops at. He's like, all right, I guess I live here now.
Yeah.
And
He's like,
the
I'm full tummy, time to kill.
right, the narration in this movie is very good too,
Mhm.
as far as letting you know how he sees. So, because if you had no narration whatsoever, it would just be a manic man acting
Yeah.
crazy and very sloppy and not knowing what his real desires are or understanding where he's coming from with a lot of his actions. But they don't try and make him this psychological mastermind. Like I've planned everything to the hilt. This is all strategic. It's just like, oh no, I like this house. This house is everything I could have. I was so excited about this house,
Yeah,
and
he
then,
sucks.
yeah,
He
he's
sucks at
really
killing.
bad. He's
He's
horrible.
bad at killing. Yeah.
Hmm.
He tapes a girl by her ankle and her
Right.
wrists to a door. It's just weird. I don't know. And you never see him actually kill in like a smooth way or like in a way that you're just like, oh, this guy's done this before, or like it looks impressive or even scary at all. It just looks sloppy.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think the narration added a lot because you usually don't get the point of view of the bad guy, right, in the movie, and if you do, it's very shallow. Here you hear every single one of his thoughts, and the way how he reasons his actions. So like when he's at that restaurant and those girls look at him and he's all like horned up eating his sausage and he's like, oh, I'm gonna fucking get them, like I'm gonna go talk to them. Should I go talk to them,
How do
or
I go
maybe I
talk to
shouldn't?
him? All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill everyone in the diner here,
Well,
and
that's the
then
second time
yeah,
though, because the first time he's there, he's just like out of jail. He's talking about like how his clothes are out of date because he's been in jail for how many years, and like I don't look cool or whatever. Like he's very self-aware of the fact that he just got out of jail, and like people are looking at him weirdly. When he comes back and he's done shit and he's all fucked up and sweaty, that's different. But I feel like the fact that I usually don't like narration. I feel like narration is a very cheap trick usually for lack of filmmaking ability.
oh,
Where
that's
it's
such
like,
a
oh, you're gonna
film
tell.
school professor
I know.
take. Is
I
yeah,
know. I know, but it sometimes it's like, all right, so you're just gonna tell me instead of showing me, right? But in this movie, he tells you and then he also shows you.
mm,
So I feel like it works, or it didn't really feel like a cheat. It just felt like,
right.
okay, so now we're gonna see the movie on his point of view and his reasoning to kill, I guess.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree at all that it's a good way to cut corners. especially when you're dealing with like a noir where there's so much you have to like fill into the audience. Like that's probably where it's best used. But in this movie, you don't. I mean, he's illustrating what he's doing, but he's not. What he's doing is he's venting his feelings and his thoughts that aren't coherent, and
Well,
why that's motivating him. So it gives you a
there's a
better, yeah,
there's a switch, right? So at the beginning, the first 5-10 minutes is a policeman, I'm assuming, reading like his rap sheet or talking about how what he's done, right? So
yeah.
we hear someone else talking about him and like the things he's done and this and that, and then the movie switches completely to his point of view. So now we're going to learn the story from him. So that's like a very interesting way of introducing story, I think, because we hear first what actually happened, and then we spend the rest of the movie just inside this character's head, who's obviously not okay. And I feel like also the way that it's shot helps that, because even though there's a lot of just very long takes where not a lot happens, he's just maybe walking around or whatever, but I feel like that helps to get inside of his head. And then once he actually goes through with the killing, which sucks because he's so bad at it, um, you're already very invested in that story because you're following his point of view and like his thinking, or like the way that he reasons in his own head to justify the fact that he's actually going to hurt strangers, and I feel like that change of instead of hearing the story coming from someone else like we did at the beginning to let's hear this maniac talk. It's a very interesting switch that you don't really see in movies, especially now. Like that's why I feel like this is more of like an experimental drama maybe than a horror movie, because of the way that the movie is presented and the way that it's shot too. Uh, it's very it's very European of the 80s, I feel like, where
Mhm.
where it's like we're just gonna lead the characters breathe, and this scene is gonna take 5 minutes, and nothing is gonna happen. He's just gonna be there, sitting there, doing something, and we'll hold and see how he reacts to nothingness, just to get to know a character a little bit better. You don't really see that type of patience, I guess, from directors, and maybe the fact that um, you told me the director is like a documentary director, right?
Right. So this is the only narrative feature that Gerald Cargyle wound up
Mm.
committing to. The rest of his movies, from what I've seen anyway, now there's a couple that are listed on Wikipedia that were not listed on IMDb that seem to be educational films or documentary. Like the narrative medium is not his preferred choice of filmmaking style.
Which is weird because I mean, at least for me, this really worked. Like I really enjoyed myself watching this. So you think that, I mean, I don't know how much of a hit this movie was. I don't know,
It
probably.
wasn't. It was banned. They
Oh,
banned it. They banned
oh,
it all across Europe for how
shit.
violent it
There you go.
was. It's one of the video
I mean,
nasties, I guess. But I have no idea of how to measure the success of this movie. I think it got re-released in 2012. They might have let up on that. And I'll tell you what, it's not that I mean, it's pretty violent. There's some scenes where it's pretty violent, but it's not that violent overall. It's very selective in how it wants to portray the violence in this movie. And I will say, what this movie does better than any movie that I've seen anyway, and it wasn't necessarily believable in the lead up, but when they go back to the body of the girl that he kills, the young girl, she looks dead for real. Which
yeah.
I was like, whoa, okay. Well, we
But
had all this blood, and it was a
when he was
little,
killing her,
yeah,
it was like, oh, because I think that's the first time where we actually see violence where it's seen. Because a lot of it is just him talking and like being a weirdo, right? But I think that's the first time where we actually see him go like, all right, because before that, the whole interaction with the family was so goofy and so sloppy, where he couldn't kill anyone, he couldn't even choke the old lady, so it was all very comical, not on purpose, I'm sure. But when that happens and he starts like stabbing this girl, it's like, oh shit, okay, so this is the actual maniac that we haven't seen throughout the movie. Like we've heard him say things, but none of it has been shown until this moment. So it is kind of shocking once he gets there. But I think that that video nasty thing probably had more to do with the way that it was presented, where it's his attacks and everything he's thinking is glorified, because he's never. shown as a villain. It's just like he's telling us a story, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing. I think Gerard Cargyle was probably thinking, well, very clearly, like nobody's going to take this guy's side, so we can do whatever. But they do portray the victims
Maybe.
as like dumb, weird,
Yeah.
creepy idiots, which you never see. So the first scene we get with any of those characters, any of those victims, is the retarded, wheelchair-bound son who goes "paw paw" in like a
Yeah.
thick, dumb German accent, you know. And then you get the old woman, and she's scarier than he is, especially when he's choking her. She like her face. You know, we'll have a thumbnail up for when this eventually goes live on YouTube, and I included her face in that. It's very Ronald McDonald-esque, very Joker,
I have it.
like Jack Nicholson. Let's pull this up real quick,
Yeah, then
because
pull it up.
she's terrifying, this woman, and yet she's got the same old appearance of like what everyone's grandma had up until 1994, 1995, big curly red hair.
But he also takes so long to kill them too. I
Well,
feel like
that's hold on.
usually,
That's realistic to life because the way that he
yeah.
tries to kill them is through strangulation. It takes a long time to A lot of people don't know this. It's difficult to kill a human being. It's very difficult to kill a human being, especially by strangulation. You got to strangle them up to up to 10 minutes
You know,
potentially.
you know what she looks like? She looks like Bella Lugosi in Plan 9 from
Oh
Outer
God,
Space.
that's very apt. Yes, and she only looks
Yeah, so,
more and more less and less human the more he chokes her and as she ekes closer to death. Now he's not even trying to kill her here. He just wants to apprehend her. There you go. You get the close-ups where you can see the makeup different, like the layer of it
yeah.
on her
This
face starting to
the
crack.
80s zombie makeup. That's like very Dawn of the Dead, but not green.
Yeah, this feels like Martin versus Dawn of the
Yeah.
Dead.
Her
Oh,
teeth
one of the
fall
most
out.
hilarious parts also is when the dog picks up her dentures and starts walking around with those fake teeth in his mouth. God, this
I
movie
love
rules.
I love that at no point she like tries to get help from police or anything. She's just like, well, I guess I'm wrestling this guy in my house now.
Right. And I mean, listen, she looks like she's about 70, 80 years old. Oh, God. Terror. Pure terror. If I saw that as a child, if I saw that as a child, that would have scarred. I would have been fine with the rest of the movie. That would have scarred me.
He looks like Grandpa Munster.
But
Yeah,
this actress looks like she's 70 or 80 years old. The woman is supposed to be 55, and the woman in real life was around 55 years of age. But I mean, look, people did age quickly back then.
well, this whole scene, patreon.com/lowreswb.
Yes,
If you want to see
Patreon.
the movie for
No,
free.
not WB. Just
Damn
patreon.com/lowers.
it.
$5. We're watching the movie right now
Sure.
as we talk.
Yeah.
Join us.
So to see like how, because what have I shown, like 2 minutes of just him trying to like apprehend someone, and he just sucks. He's just not apt to it. He's not strong enough. He's not able to do it at all. So he like tied down that blonde girl to the door, and then the retarded man is just upstairs somewhere like crawling or whatever. But he sucks. Like he's not a good killer either. Like it would be so much easier to just make the kills or like everything he does faster or like easier, but like he struggles with everything. So it's like a more interesting layer of like, you know, this is this weirdo that's a serial killer, but he sucks at it. um but he has that itch, you know, of like, well, there, these people that I don't know have wronged me in some way, so I'm gonna have to kill them, even though I have no idea how to do that efficiently.
Does he express that
uh
he feels they wronged him? I don't recall that.
I don't know. Well, no, because when he gets into this house, it's just random, right? He just goes, he walks up to a house and he
Yeah.
just breaks the window when they're not there, and he just gets in.
By
And
the way, how did
that's
you
it.
like that? Given the property and the fact they had tunnels that went to their driveway and shit, just how empty that house was. It was a very like squatters situation where there's just a
Yeah.
mattress on the floor. It is a pretty big house, and it seems like it's a nice house. It seems like it's a very nice estate, but there's nothing
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah. There's only, hold on, let me show it. There's a bed.
A bed just in the center of the room. This is it feels. I know it's not German. It's Austrian, right? But it feels
Oh,
very.
is it Austrian, not German?
Yes, yes.
Sure. Hitler said the same thing. But yeah. So like I don't know what kind of house they got to shoot this, but it doesn't like when he gets in like this, it doesn't look like it's in a house where people live even, and
Right.
then they show up. But I guess my favorite thing about it is that usually when you have a movie about a serial killer, it's either glorified or shown as a non or like a sloppy or like a joke, right? In this one, you have a guy that's telling you this story by narrating everything and telling you everything that he's feeling, but he also sucks at killing. So it's a more interesting narrative than just a guy that's very good at killing, like a Hannibal, where it's like, okay, this guy is interesting, but he's also very good at killing. He knows exactly how to kill people. This guy sucks at doing that, or even like fucking restraining people. He sucks at it. So that makes him like a more interesting villain, I think, than like a powerful killer that will be able to just you know
Yeah,
murder
well, he's a
everybody
wormy
basically.
guy. He's a little wormy guy, and I believe he hadn't killed before in the movie or in real life. This Warner Nisa character, and when he did show up at the house, he did have a hard time killing them. But clearly, they did succumb to his power, to his strength, you know. But unfortunately, here's where it really differs: is in real life, they had a cat and a dog, and the cat
Okay.
was not so lucky. The cat got it, so
uh
they left that out. I
s-
guess they
he
see the
did he
director.
didn't.
The director does have a heart. He wants to let you know he does have a heart because he leaves the dog, who's traitorous. At first you're like, dog, don't hang out with the killer. Get away from the. He's gonna kill you. And then he's like, well, now I don't have a family. I gotta have a family now. I guess I'll just leave with you. So he joins forces
He's
with
right
Warner
there.
Neeson. Yes, he's getting fed.
He's eating half of the sausage that he didn't eat in his car, and then the police just shows up.
Yeah. So this movie's from 1983. It does. It feels like this might have inspired a lot of the films that would come out later in the decade or early in the next, or certainly around like now. People trying to hit those same similar notes, but they don't seem to do it as realistically.
No.
And I think this captures exactly what's authentic about killers and serial killers and spree killers or passion killers, which is something we've said before. I think maybe came up during the Zodiac show, which is that killers are always as smart as they are retarded. And
Yes.
he's the perfect, although he's not a whole lot of smart at all. He
No.
does manage to put everything together. He does succeed in his goal, even if he's captured immediately following, because he has this idea or this vibe of invincibility about him. Like I pulled it off. I did all that. We're gonna go on. We're gonna go on a trip. I'm gonna bring them to
Yeah.
another family to terrify the family, and then I'm gonna kill that family. And he makes the fatal mistake of walking into a coffee shop dressed like a golfer who's just in a car wreck with blood and sweat all over his body, and feeding himself. So didn't quite work out.
Yeah.
He thwarted his own plans with appetite. Look at the German police, excuse me, Austrian police. Look at how ridiculous they look. Imagine wearing a full blown suit and one of those hats to go stop a killer.
Dude, when I lived in the UK and you see police walking around with those tall hats, it's like a tall, like circular, like very goofy hat. It's like, how am I supposed to fucking respect you? How am I supposed to look at you with like a authority? It's
Yeah.
goofy.
The gas station
Uh,
attendants had a good outfit, though. You see that man in yellow with the red
yeah,
suspenders?
yeah.
That was good. I will say
Yeah, I
the fashion in this movie was very fashion forward for 1983. A lot of Americans would start dressing in this way in the late 80s, but I noticed that with the woman in the house, not the old woman, not cake face woman, but the
yeah,
younger woman. She does get the
glasses.
brunt of the violence in this movie because what he dunks the retarded man's head under the water, who's only supposed to be like 25 years old, by the way.
Does
He
not look 25. No.
he takes him out that way, and that seems fairly difficult. He accidentally kills the older woman, where he's wanting to keep her alive so she can watch him kill the son, so she can be
Yeah.
horrified and see how terrible life is before he takes her her life. And then he starts feeding her dead body pills so she can feel better or whatever. And then he's got
So she
the
can wake up. Yeah.
yes. And then he's got the last one left over, the girl, and she doesn't seem to make any smart plays at all. As a matter of fact, she seems to either be into it or she's trying to woo him by giving him kisses and whatnot that seem unprompted and not of his interest. Although maybe once she gets lopped off, it is of interest. I don't know. You can't control your own body or excitement from time to time. Sometimes you see a beautiful woman
Well,
and you lose it,
he
right?
he does wake up with his pants down, right?
Yeah,
After
he
he's done
fucked.
killing her.
Yeah, he fucked her.
So we don't see any of the coitus. Like we see him kissing her after he like stabs her a bunch of times. It's like a
Or is
weird
it
like
coitus if only one of the parties is alive?
what would you call it? Rape? I guess postmortem rape. Yeah.
It's defiling.
He's slobbers all over her neck when after he stabs her because he's like
He's trying.
making out with her
He's in a
neck.
very vampiric mood. He tries to suck
He's
her
ma-
blood, and then it makes him
he's
sick.
he makes out with her hole on her neck, and then he wakes up with no with like his pants down, and he's like, "Oh, did I do that? Did I do that?" Like Urkel.
Did I do that?
"Oh, did I do this?" He wakes up with a zombie under him with his pants down, and he's like, "Well, I guess I have to, pretend like or like make it look like." No, well, no, he gets the bodies in the trunk, right? 3 bodies.
Yeah, and he
That's how he gets
struggles.
caught.
He struggles with it too. Yeah, he
Yeah.
decides he's going to put the entire family together in the trunk. It's very thoughtful, you know.
Well, that's the only reason why he gets caught too. If he had just left them there, we're talking about 1983. They would have never gotten him, right?
No, I don't think so. I mean, well,
Yeah.
he was out early. So here's the thing, and I don't know if they mentioned this in the film, but in my research, Warner Niesick was allowed out to go find a job before he was released from prison. So they gave him 3 days where he could go look around, find a job, set himself up so he's not just fucked when he gets out of prison. And that's when he committed these acts. And then they had to rethink their entire system. Like, oh, fuck, we can't really do this. I said, listen, guy who just robbed a bank and didn't hurt anybody. I hate to tell you this, but we're gonna have to pull those extra days out of prison. He really fucked things up. I'm pretty sure he's still alive. Warner Niesick. He was a young man at the time. He was only about 25, 26 years old, maybe.
Isn't
So,
that what happened with the New York shooter too? The
well,
guy that was shut up a subway.
oh yeah, we didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about that. That was the same line that I was on. Listen, I was on the same track when that guy did what he did. Now, have you watched his YouTube channel?
I've seen some of it. I think they removed all the videos now because I guess he's being investigated. So I don't think they're up anymore. But I listened to a couple of shows where they archived videos, and yeah, he was like an anti-white, like a like a very, I don't want to say hotep, but
No,
like
that's exactly
black
what he was. No,
Israelite,
it's
black
literally
Israelite type of guy. Yeah.
yeah, but no, that's exactly what he was. Because I mean, listen, yeah, he was racist against white people, but he was also he was a lot of whatever you hear from like Bill Cosby about the black community. It's like this is
Yeah.
what's wrong. Look at him committing violence. See, this is why people have this perception of us as a dangerous people. And then,
Yeah.
of course, he commits the most heinous of actions.
Yeah. So
Um,
I'm just gonna educate everyone by shooting 13 people in the subway. No one died, so I guess maybe that's why this is
or
not
maybe
that
not
big of
then. All right,
news.
good for I see. I wasn't under that impression. I heard 10 people died and 33 people were injured.
Did they?
But then someone told me
Oh.
nobody died. There was a lot of misinformation going around about this, and
Yeah.
I also
What
saw
a
something that
surprise.
the FBI knew something about this guy because he stayed in a hotel in Massachusetts and they confiscated a bunch of guns. But that guy's, I thought that guy's name in the article was different than who this fellow turned out to be. Maybe I'm wrong. There was a whole lot of mixed information I saw, and
Yeah.
goddamn, it was a real motherfucker trying to get home from Manhattan because I had a shoot where I was directing a commercial, And I tried to get home. Now, listen, I'm taking the ferry. Oh, well, now all of a sudden it's a 2 hour, 40-minute wait for the ferry. And there's a line around the block because no one wants to take the subway. Oh,
Yeah.
terrific.
Well,
That's great.
can't blame him. I mean, it wasn't just dirty and shitty before, but now you might get shot. So it's just, it's
It's not,
yeah,
not a good
James
place to be, New York, or the New York City subway.
uh, Frank James is his name. And apparently he did a rant on YouTube saying that the mental health system had failed him. So
In the
that's
video I
we
watched,
gotta
which was I believe it was the latest video he had uploaded, he was like, listen, I get some thoughts now and again that I just want to kill everybody around me, but I don't let that overwhelm me because I know it ain't worth it in the end. And then they catch him. He's got that smug Uncle Ruckus face with one of his eyes all fucking big, looking like a cue ball, and the other eye shrunk. Yeah. What the fuck is that? See, this is not even like a black thing. If you look up Takashi Kitano, although one of his eyes is not big, this is something you notice with like older black people. Is one eye will get big, the other will start to squint up. With Asian people, with white people, one eye will stay the same, and then the other eye will, especially Asian people, will squint. So if you
more.
look up, yes, look up Takashi Kitano real quick. Takashi Kitano 2022 or something.
Oh my God.
This is a phenomenon. All right, let's take a look.
What the what happened?
There you go. All right, that's one example. Now check out Choi Min Sik. Choi Min
Hold on,
Sik is man from Old Boy. He has the same thing going on.
Is that plastic surgery going wrong,
In
or
his case, it
that's
looks like it. Yes.
because he looks like Mason from Hannibal? Just mention Hannibal again.
Oh, Mason
Where it's
Verger,
just
yeah.
like his face was eaten years ago. What's the other name that you asked me?
Choi Min Sik.
I mean, sick like that. No, okay.
With a K.
Uh,
K at the end of Sik. There you go. You got it. Well, that's from 2003 or so. Oh, what? That's a white man. That's just an Italian middle-aged man. Yeah, you're gonna be able to tell with glasses and a fucking faraway shot of him. You know what? Look, my point's been proven with Takashi, I think. Although there's an asterisk because of the surgery. This is just something I noticed. That's all. Man, he used to be a stud back in the day.
There it is. Is that? I mean, why are they all so like pink? Supposed to be. You're supposed to be yellow.
I can't
don't like
believe
that you
this
left.
racial.
Just left me hang myself with the fact that he looks pink.
Yeah.
He looks very pink though. That's
Well,
not,
he's old
that's
here. He's like
worse.
60 something years old now. I mean, when is this from? 2022?
This is from this year, yeah. I think.
Well, that
Maybe.
explains it. Hold
Korean
on. They're remaking Good Will Hunting with Choi Min Sik as Matt Damon.
I guess.
That's
Korea
fucking crazy.
Herald.
Click this. Hold on. We got to read more about this.
Do you
This is a
trust this
total
source?
Korean move. Didn't they just remake What
February
Women Want?
20
Wow, this is
February
exciting stuff. Finally, a sequel to Good Will Hunting. Gus
Inner
fans.
Prime,
Ah.
promoted as the Korean version of Gus Stands for Gus Will Hunting.
Oh, hold on a second. Is that... Wait a minute. Are they doing the thing where it's like we're pitching a movie and it's Ghostbusters meets Parasite?
It's Robin Williams. No finding out about how the movie.
All right. Let's look up In Our Prime real quick.
All right.
You were looking into Ava DuVernay?
Yes, because my girlfriend mentioned she was going through DMZ on HBO Max. She was like, "What is this?" So I was like, "Oh, it's based on a comic book series that I used to read. It was really good." And then I was like, "Hold on, let me see who directed it." And it's this lady who I don't think is very good. So I was like, "It's probably
No.
gonna be bad." She directed the pilot and produced the whole thing. But yeah, so I guess. Ji Woo, outcast in the prestigious private high school who meets hacks. I've never seen Good Will Hunting, so I don't know if this is similar.
I'm in Good Will Hunting, but I'm a spec. I'm
Right.
a little boy at the time.
You're a little boy.
Yeah.
Do
I
you
play
show
as-
up on screen?
No.
No.
No,
Oh,
but I was
all right.
I was there for a day of shooting when they were doing the basketball court fight with my
I don't know, I've
mom.
never seen it.
Yeah, it's a
But
good movie. Gus Van Sant's kind of overrated though. Do you like any of
you
his
think?
films? Yeah, a lot of people love to drone on and on about My Private Idaho because they get boned up for River Phoenix and Keanu and bracing
I,
on the
I don't
motorbike.
even
Oh, it's so romantic.
I don't even know what that is.
Pedophiles. It's just Gus Van Sant lusting over children. Well, he did Milk.
The
Oh,
only
then I
thing
hate
I
him.
know, the only thing I know is that he did this remake, right? This completely unnecessary remake with James
Yeah, listen,
Bond.
I that's one of I don't mind the
It's
Psycho remake to be honest with you.
it's fine,
Yeah, it's
but
fine. I'll agree it's pointless, but I don't know how many films are really necessary films to begin with. It's just so
fair enough.
forgettable. You forget that they remade Psycho,
Yeah.
especially on like. And I remember the marketing when that movie was coming out, and you saw like the woman in the shower holding with their bloody hands on the glass or whatever. I remember seeing billboards of that in Boston when I was a kid. But people just erased it from their memories. Elephant's all right, but it's
So
nothing compared to Alan Clark's.
what is his thing like? Why is he a name? What is his most famous movie? Elephant?
No, it's probably Goodwill Hunting or My Private
Well,
Idaho.
that I guess that one won a couple Oscars, right? So
Yeah,
I
that
guess
movie
it's
made Ben Affleck and Matt Damon stars. And Kevin Smith, I think, was a producer on that movie.
hmm. Milk, who was a nominee for an Oscar. That movie
Hmm.
sucks, by the way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, he's. I don't think he's done anything really of note since Elephant, which was I believe
it's very
2003.
like what do you think is his style? Like I don't think he's like someone that you can be like, oh, this is a fucking Gus Van Sant movie, you know? It's just oh, that name sounds familiar, but if you look at his actual track record, it's like, oh, you've directed like 6 movies, and
Hmm.
out of that,
Well,
it's
he doesn't have one particular style about him. It's a lot of how would I put it? It's kind of Richard Linklater. If
very
Richard
soft.
Linklater,
Yeah.
if Richard Linklater came from like Portland, Oregon, and was a gay man.
Oh, is that what? Well, he's from Kentucky, apparently.
Wow. I'm saying that's the vibe. I said that's not. Listen, if he doesn't have the vibe of his hometown, do you have a Costa Rican vibe about you, Hans? I don't know if you do
No.
or don't. I haven't been to Costa Rica, but I wouldn't say off the
Goddamn.
top of my head, Hans, what would I think of? Well, I mean, look, it's a recurring joke, so this isn't even like a good comparison.
Yeah. I hope not, but yeah, maybe. I don't know. No one's ever told me that, and I hope that never happens. I've been trying to whitewash my entire life
How about
for
this? How
since I
about this?
have conscience.
We've got a show with Jacob A. Miller coming up where we're going to do the Sixth Sense. Would you say that Jacob A. Miller has a Boston vibe to him?
Ah, when he's in Boston, yes.
No, he doesn't even when he's in Boston. He has like a rural New Hampshire, Maine kind of vibe about him.
Oh, yeah, I guess his accent is not that. I mean, I only know one person that's like that, Boston, which is the friend that you haven't met still, because
Yeah.
he talks like a person from Boston. You guys don't like you used to, but
I
you've been
used
able
to.
to mask it with the years of doing this show and any other show you've done, where now you don't really have an accent,
Yeah,
or at least
no.
I don't really notice it that much. Uh, so I guess yeah,
A
Jake's
lot of
done the
people think
same
I've got
thing.
a New York accent.
No, they don't.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
No one said that. Who
I've
said that?
gotten that quite a few times, actually.
Name them. Name,
Yeah.
name them right now.
It's just my friend who goes to another school. That's all.
Hey, this is movies. Is that who you are? This is a podcast about the act of cinema. That's you. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know about that. But it's not. Yeah, it's not Boston. I guess.
No, it's
I guess
not.
Gus Van Sant doesn't have a Kentucky feel to him. I guess.
No,
that's
he
what you
does
would say.
not. He's got a
Uh,
very I'm a poet. I go to the cafe and write my scripts kind of vibe.
very Soderbergh type of writing of like very. I've been rich forever. So I don't know how regular people talk. So everyone's just gonna talk like my rich friends talk.
Hmm.
And
What would you say?
poor people are
What
gonna
would you
find
say?
it interesting.
What would you say Gerald Cargile's vibe is?
Who's that?
That's the director of this movie, Angst.
Oh, what's his name? That doesn't sound very German.
It's
Well, I don't
Austrian.
know.
That's why.
Um, that's why, right? I used to. I had a. I was such a shithead. I hate thinking back of like when I was a shithead for no reason because I had a classmate in film school. She was from Austria and she was very sensitive to any mention of Hitler, obviously.
Hmm.
And what would 27-year-old Hans do? Every time he would see her, just be like, "What's up, Hitler?" So so just like just thinking back of like yeah, there's no big difference there unless you're trying to offend someone for something that had nothing to
Yeah.
nothing to do with them at all. But yeah, I don't know. I think Angst is a very interesting movie. That if you're interested in movie making, it's a very interesting watch. I don't know if you're just like a casual movie watcher, if this will keep you interested for the entirety of the movie because it is kind of slow at times when he's just
You
pontificating to
think it's
himself. But
slow?
I feel like until the violence start or until he actually commits violence, it's a lot of just him being autistic in public. So I didn't mind it, but I can see how someone could be bored by it because it's a lot of just him narrating. There's not a lot of interaction between him and anyone else, and it's a lot of just the camera letting you get to know this character without a lot of things happening to him. So it could be a maybe not a very accessible movie if you're not in
Oh,
that
I don't
mood.
think it's accessible at all.
I
But here's the thing: I never found it slow. I think, and there's certainly a lot of scenes where you're right. The director lets everything breathe, but
yeah.
because he's so manic, because
Hmm.
that character, the psychopath, is so manic and in a frenzy and just constantly moving so quick, and the camera's often moving with him. It's
Yeah.
all like a tracking shot, and it's a very clumsy, kind of dirty tracking shot where you'll notice like especially where it's clear that he's wearing a vest and there's a camera that's probably and he's running. But also even not during those sequences when we're just following him, and there's a lot of like high up, kind of tilted downward shots you don't often see in films because I mean it's complicated to get that, and it's also not the most flattering angle to get on actors where you're coming at them from a more of a bird's eye position, I guess. Um,
Kind of
you'll
drone looking, but obviously
yeah
in 83, like
right yeah yeah
impossible. Yeah.
yeah. What you'll notice, especially when he's like going through the house, is that with each step he takes, the camera's shaking.
Yeah.
The camera's shaking a whole lot in this movie. They did not have a steady cam to
Hmm.
even out the shots. So everything that we're following is kind of jilted. It's a little messy. It's a little
I get you.
shaky. And when he's running, that's when you're going to get it the most. And it matches with every single step taken.
Right, but I think because we are interested in that story, it's easier. I don't think the regular moviegoer or movie watching person would sit for 2 hours to watch a guy just convince himself that what he's doing is kind of not that bad. That he's like, I have this urge, so I have to do this thing. I feel like that's the point where it would be kind of, well, obviously not accessible, but also kind of difficult to get through if you're not in the mentality of like, this is an interestingly shot movie and I want to see this performance and I want to see what happens. I can see someone getting very put off by the presentation of it, because it's so unconventional to what we're used to watching, especially in this side of the world, where the experimentation with cameras maybe lately, because of how easy it is to access a fucking camera, then it's become more of a thing. But back in those days, back in 83, something that was shot like this in a narrative way is not something that you would see. I don't think, or unless I'm completely ignorant about movies that are kind of like this from around this time. Maniac maybe, but Maniac doesn't even like present the character like this one, So if you're just like an American, well, no, I don't even want to shit on American people because number one, you're American. You know a lot about other different types of movie and movie making, but also I feel like if you're, a mainstream like blockbuster watching person that loves action movies, or if you're gonna watch a serial killer movie, is gonna need a lot of violence or a lot of jump scares and things like that. This is not it. Like, there's not one jump scare in the whole movie. I don't think. There's not. I don't think nothing even
That's
happens
not
at night.
true. When he gets in there and he runs into the handicapped guy who goes, "Paw Paw," that was the closest thing to a jump scare I saw in this movie. Because his head just comes out of nowhere.
Just put yourself in that situation. You're just like, I don't know how to deal with this. But like, everything happens during the day, right? So nothing is dark. Nothing is like, we're gonna play with the shadows here and present it a little creepier. No, everything happens at like 2 p.m. in the afternoon when the lights out, and like everyone's supposed to be like busy with their life, and like so that's why I feel like maybe, it's not, well, like you said, it's not definitely not accessible, but I feel like you kind of have to be in the mood to watch something like this, because it's such a internal conflict of the character for most of the movie that it could become boring, I think, if your attention span is not there. But
Certainly,
I
I think that argument could be made about most films, though. But I mean, I think that the big thing that is a tremendous takeaway with this movie, that I think that point would certainly be more hammered home if this was a 2 hour movie and you had to
Okay.
endure that style. But
Yeah.
this movie's barely an hour. I think it's like an hour and 10 minutes or an hour and 12 minutes. It's extremely short compared to most features. It can't be more than an hour and 20.
120.
I saw like five
Yeah,
different runtimes for this movie when I researched it. I saw an hour 14, I saw an hour
different
17,
different
hour
versions.
25. Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a version that's cut. What I wound up watching was on Tubi. How did you watch this film?
I downloaded it. I couldn't find it in two because I live in Costa Rica.
Oh, right.
So I guess they blocked it. Yeah, I couldn't watch it, but
Yeah,
I
but
got it
you get
illegally.
Nightwalk on HBO Max, so that's the
Yeah.
benefit of Costa. You it gives and takes.
I don't even think I get Batman yet, but I got Nightwalk, so that's
No,
cool.
you don't have to get Batman. You got Mickey Rourke and Sean Stone.
Nazi Mickey Rourke there.
Yeah. So yeah, this movie's. I mean, it's out there. It's available to watch if you're at least in the United States, or if you want to use your VPN and use
Yeah.
Tubi America. If you live outside the states, you go to
Yeah.
surfshark.deals/low. I'm pretty sure no one has signed up for Surfshark since we started promoting them. I feel like I would have gotten a check by now, but then again, they like to say, "Oh, if you cross a certain threshold, then we'll send the check." Surfshark.deal/LowRes. So that would be nice. That would be a nice surprise, is to get a check from Surfshark. They haven't said a damn word to me since that last email.
We might be plugging nothing right now.
I
Like, it
think
might
so.
not
That
even.
link might be expired at this point. I don't know if it still works. Let's find out. We'll find out if it works, and sign up for them. Get 83% off for an annual subscription, and you will be able to watch this movie on American Tubi. What's
Yeah.
a what's a
So
good
it's
what's a good partner film to this? Hey, there he is again.
American Psycho.
No, I think American Psycho is a little too well. They share the narration aspect.
Yeah. I guess that's pretty much it. I mean, it is a crazy guy that is convincing himself that his reality is true, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. Most serial killer stories are not really told from their point of view, so it's difficult to think of one. You mentioned Henry at the beginning, so maybe that one. But I don't know why I thought, Christian Bale convincing himself that he's like a cool guy or whatever kind of goes with this. If you Americanize a European movie, American Psycho could be the American Angst.
You know what? Yeah, the more I think about that, the more that does seem correct, because it's also same period of time approximately. It takes place anyway.
Mhm.
It is the 1980s, and you have a similar cognitive dissonance with these two characters. Although Patrick Bateman, by the end of that movie, we don't even know if he's really a killer. This
Yeah.
guy, well, this guy somehow accomplished every goal he set out on. So, believe in yourself. Regardless of whatever handicaps you may have, you may overcome adversity and
Yeah.
fulfill your dreams.
Yeah, you might be able to kill someone after 6 hours of trying.
Maybe you can just tie someone to a doorknob and it can work out for you. Maybe she'll
Yeah.
maybe she'll fall in love with you. Maybe she'll start kissing you like this woman does. It was a love story.
Yeah.
She initiated it with the kissing, and then he finished it by defiling her dead
Kissing
body.
her.
Yes, kissing
He
her
kissed
back.
her
They
dead
exchanged
body.
fluids. They were in
He's like, hold
love.
on. I'm too autistic to kiss you while you're still alive, so let me kill you first. And then I'll slobber your neck after I slash the
Can we
fuck
just
out of
this might get us clipped on YouTube, but fuck it. Can we go to the scene where she looks dead for real? So here's the thing. It's after he kills her, he's stabbing
I
her,
know,
and I'm like, oh, the
it's
dog's going
morning
after him.
after.
What a good, yeah, the morning after, like when you regret that lay that you shouldn't have got involved with. He's stabbing her to death, and the little dog is going after him like a good dog. Nah, not yet.
Here?
She's still alive here.
Okay.
No, it's when he wakes up the next morning. Oh, this
Oh,
dog. I was just stressing the entire time. I was like,
yeah,
oh, I was
waiting
just.
for this little
Yeah,
kid.
by the way, hold on. This is a great shot of the dog. This is like a very angelic, early morning, romantic filter hue of the dog just hanging out. There you go. This dog is the real star, the lone survivor. There you go. Yeah. It's a very waxy looking face, but that's how he wakes up.
Yeah. Oh,
And I.
good morning, I guess. How was your evening? My pants, but like, see, but like the pants are down, but her skirt is not down. So I'm wondering if he just like rubbed his dick on her denim skirt and
Are you sure about
that's
that?
it.
Oh no, those are her
Oh,
shoes.
see,
Yeah,
I mean, is that her shoes or her underwear? I don't know. No, that's just
those are her shoes. He does have a moment later on where he's cleaning up, where he's pulling the bodies out, and then he gets so excited he has to start rubbing himself, or he just gets all frothed up from the moment, from realizing what he's done. So
Yeah.
that's the face of a winner. This movie's very good. I would say tonally and stylistically, the closest thing to this in American film, anyway, would probably be Henry Portrait of a Killer. But I definitely feel like there's some Maniac vibes with it as well. That's
Yeah.
early 1980s. That came a couple of years before this. But
780.
as far as you're trying to match true crime, I do think Henry is probably the way to go. I feel like there's a British film that has a similar vibe to this that just is not coming to mind at the moment. Maybe I'll think of that before the show wraps tonight. But what was your overall takeaway on Angst?
Great. Uh, I I thought it was funnier the second time.
Oh, I kept laughing hysterically throughout the film.
Yeah.
I was like Robert De Niro in Cape Fear at certain points, mainly when it was him dealing with the retarded guy. Is
Yeah.
that they cast like they just said like give the most simplistic 2D version of a retarded man you can possibly muster. So he thinks he's his father who walked out on the family a number of years before, and who could blame him seeing these freaks? And also in real life, this is one thing that does differ. So, in addition to a cat getting killed and a dog surviving, there was also a sister who was not home at the time. She went out moments before the murders took place. So that
She got
that was a thing. There's an opportunity for a sequel. How about that, where she gets her revenge?
It's a spit on your grave. A spit on my mom's grave, who was killed by you. He said.
Spit on
I'm
my
trying to-
mom.
I
Yeah.
was trying to find the moment where he finds the retarded man in a wheelchair.
I got to hear paw paw, his paw paw. That's really what made his character for me. But also, this actor. I mean, this actor's not famous at all, but this actor would go on to play. Speaking of Nazis, before he plays a Nazi in Schindler's List, and he does have that good, evil Nazi look.
Yeah.
So he should have been in The Keep. Was my thing. That would have been prime time for this fella. But Schindler's List,
Soldiers
none
of-
too shabby. Went on to work with Spielberg after this.
Where the fuck does this happen? I can't find it.
It's right when he gets into the house. So no,
this is what we
this
get-
is no. It's before everybody comes home because they leave the son home alone, and he decides not to kill him. He's gonna save him.
Here.
I was sure someone lived in here.
Meine Opfer. Ich hatte Angst.
Papa.
Ich wurde am Gesetz.
Oh man.
He's wearing a suit jacket too, or like a full suit.
Yeah, yeah. This is a 25-year-old man. Remember.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Did you like the different kinds of drool that were all over his face? You had like classic.
Different color.
You had classic transparent drool, some white drool. I think there was some brown drool in there, so maybe that's old. Yeah. What a guy.
Papa. It's much older than him.
Oh boy! So Angst is a very enjoyable film. I'm glad we did wind up talking about it. We're gonna have to close out the show in a moment. Do you want to just give your plugs? We're gonna be talking about The Sixth Sense on the next episode. So that's another horror film, something to sit down and enjoy with your kids. Maybe is Angst and The Sixth Sense. It is a good family double feature. I was shown Angst when I was only 7 years old. It was a laugh riot.
Yeah, my grandma showed it to me. She was see how she's getting killed.
She said, "Hey, I acted in this movie." She was the
She's
old
like,
woman.
"Hey,
It's your
you like
German
her
heritage. Yeah, your name is
Your
Hans.
makeup- Yeah. Yeah. Go watch it. I think it's very enjoyable if you're into that type of movie. And it's also so interestingly shot that
That's the biggest highlight, I think, for me is the shooting style of the movie, because I do think it would work just fine if it was a more conventional static shot style of filmmaking that accompanied this. But the fact that you have all that and it's so like jagged, like another shot that just came to mind is when he's being released from prison and we're panning down and it's almost like he dropped the camera, he just slammed the camera down or something, and it's crooked. Like the shot is messed up and you only have like the tips of people's heads in the frame as they're walking. Like he maybe intended it to go lower, but this was just like the most optimal looking shot. I don't know. There's a lot of clumsiness. And it reminds me also of when we were talking about Tokyo Vice, the pilot of Tokyo Vice, how so much of that Tokyo Vice pilot is unpolished and feels like real filmmaking in its errors. With Michael Mann deciding, all right, well, I'm just going to crank up the general room tone to an obnoxious degree, and you're going to hear people that sound like we're capturing their audio with the camera instead of microphones that are that far away. And Ansel Elgort's going to be close up. He's going to be the cleanest. And things of that matter, or even how that was shot and it was kind of messed up with the pan, reminded me a lot here. It's the old method of film, old style of filmmaking. It doesn't have to be a perfect shot. It doesn't have to be the smoothest shot, and it can still be rich with life.
First of all, yeah. This is the shot you're talking about.
I'm talking about all the shots, but yeah, this. No. This particular shot, I'm not. This is a very smooth shot, but this was shot. Do you have this in slow motion or something, or is this just how
No,
it was done?
it's just how it's shot.
Or maybe my connection's bad. I don't know. So you have all this, but no, it's when the guard is accompanying him out of the prison, and we're getting like a shot, I think, through the gate. So we don't have to necessarily pull it up.
Yeah, I forget that I have to optimize video clips. That was my bad.
No,
but
you're fine. I think it played normal enough.
It's also very interesting to hear that the director was like this. At no point it feels like a director with documentary sensibilities, because even though it feels like a true story that's being told, it doesn't feel like a documentary at all because it's such a his point of view that I'm surprised that he didn't do any other narrative after this.
Well, enough of his story. How about her story?
Who's her? The grandma.
The murdered grandma.
Who's wearing Carnival of Souls makeup? I hope you get that reference. Someone got that reference.
Yes, I've seen Carnival of Souls.
Okay.
I think there is something interesting about the fact that this guy only directed one narrative feature. And I feel that way similarly about somebody like Jonathan Glazer, who's only directed 3 feature films, where Maybe just in the case that there is a style to it, and there are unique creative choices that were made to suit this feature, and then he decided, all right, I'm good, just with the one. I think that's kind of a fascinating notion. It's very different. I would be curious to see what his documentaries are like, or even about what the subject matter of those might be.
Well, maybe the fact that this movie was banned, like you said, right, probably put him off completely from making narrative movies because
That might
this
have played a
feels
part,
like
yeah.
a it feels like I don't want to say like a very um like internal like passion project, but you can tell that there's a lot of thought put into the shots, and there's a lot of thought of put into where the camera goes and what we're going to show on every shot. And I can imagine how exhausting or demoralizing it would be for you to put all of that effort into a movie looking good, and then it's banned because of reasons that have nothing to do with that, you know.
Hmm.
So maybe that's what, I don't know. I mean, also Austria in 1980s, I don't know what their cinema was like, but I can't imagine that it was, you know,
This is probably the biggest movie
making,
in the history of Austria
it wasn't
internationally.
like making billionaires, you know, or millionaires at all.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, it's a different it feels like a different lifetime really, as to how, I want to say, easy quote unquote equipment wise it is to make movies now. So maybe that played a part of that. You know, I'm gonna try my hand at a narrative movie, and then it gets fucking banned, and people are freaking out about it. So why try again?
Yeah, I don't think this became a known entity of a film until it got released in France and they retitled it. So it was I don't know how long it was banned in Europe for, but it was for enough stretch of a time where I think it might have completely just buried the film entirely. And it was around the time where movies like Roar were getting rediscovered. There were distributors that were putting these older obscure films into theaters who hadn't gotten their due back in the early years of the last decade, like 2011, 2012, 2013. Alamo Drafthouse did that. A couple of different venues wound up doing that. Roar is just the big one that comes to mind because nobody even heard about that film really, in any conventional sense anyway, up until that got a release. And I believe Angst is one of those movies where it got a theatrical run at some of the more niche cinemas in the United States, places like the Brattle or probably the Metrograph, spots like that, giving it its proper screening that it's deserved for 30, 40 years now.
There's a oh, it's sold out. There's a Vinegar Syndrome version Blu-ray.
Oh, really? Damn, I would
I
have loved to pick that up.
I didn't know Tangerine Dream did the music for it.
I
Apparently,
don't believe they did.
it says here scored by krautrock synth god Klaus Schulze. Tangerine Dream.
Okay, so one of the guys from Tangerine Dream,
Yeah.
which you know what I did like, and this is something I just forgot, is that like loop, that little beat that comes into effect where it's almost like Beverly Hills Cop when he starts running or something like that. That repeated synth beat that comes in at certain times, just like, all right, we got to go back to that. That's the theme song. That's our character's theme. That's him in his head operating, trying to maneuver to the next step, and it doesn't fit what's happening in the movie. It doesn't fit his character at all.
Yeah.
But it's repeated about 4 or 5 times throughout the film, and it's always at like a moment of pressure or something.
Apparently, Gaspar Noé said that he's watched the movie like 40 times as one of his biggest influences,
I
which
think you
makes
can see
sense if
that
you.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
a movie like Enter the Void or
What's the
God,
dancing one? Uh,
Climax.
yeah, that one. All of those shots, like all of those from above
Yes,
shots,
yeah, yeah,
very
yeah.
much like
That's a good
this.
call. Irreverse. I mean,
Yeah.
you get a taste of that in every single one of his films, where a lot of his movies just take place in a night. Over a couple
Yeah.
of hours in a night. It's all playing out in real time. That's something you
Mhm.
get with this movie, and it's very easy to see the influence there. Are you interested at all in his new film with Dario Argento as a star, Vortex?
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
it
But
looks
yeah,
a
I like weird directors like that. There's a $20 Blu-ray for Angst on Amazon.
on Amazon.
In case it looks like the same Blu-ray that
That one's
Vinegar
not. I don't
Syndrome
believe
has.
that's Vinegar Syndrome. Maybe it was one of their sister distributors or something. I don't know. I do tend on purchasing it at some point. I'm not really in one of those spirals where I'm purchasing a lot of physical media right now. I don't want to kick that off either. I got other things I got to worry about financially for the time being. But yeah, no. Vortex is Jasper Noah's latest film. It's coming out very soon, and it has a vibe about it that's much more Amor, if you remember that
Okay.
film from a couple years
Yeah.
ago. It was a Best Picture nominee, even though it was foreign, which was kind of rare at the time. Now it's not so rare. Now they love to throw in a couple foreign films each time there's a Best Picture nomination. Um,
It's about two old people with dementia.
hmm
That's kind of cool. Just because
Yeah,
I know of his visual style, I don't think that story would interest me at all if it wasn't someone with a distinctive, visual style that likes to push boundaries.
I agree, and I kind of wish I had gotten Mass State Lottery out a year sooner because he took the fucking gimmick of we're gonna do split screen with little
Uh,
16 millimeter. Yeah, he did that, so I was too slow. That's all right. If you go watch the trailer to Mass State Lottery, you'll see that I was not inspired by old Jasper there. Okay, Gaspar. Excuse me.
yeah, I was about to say he's French, so he'd probably be
Yeah,
very
I
mad.
sound
that
very
you're calling
ignorant
him
American.
Jasper.
Old Jasper.
Jasper, no.
How do you say his last name? That's something I feel like I fuck up all the time.
Noé.
No way.
Gaspar Noé.
Yeah, I say
Yeah.
I've said Jasper no so many times. I know you're just making
Jasper
that joke, but
Noel.
I've literally said that most of my life. All
They
right.
have the little accent at the end of the E.
Yeah.
Supposed to Noé. Yeah.
They played the
Life.
trailer to that, I think, right before whenever I caught it recently in theaters. Oh,
Batman.
Father Stew. No, I don't think they played Vortex in front of Father Stew. Maybe it was, I don't know. I don't remember. Maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe I have dementia. Maybe the next
Don't
film's
you
about
like
me.
experimental European movie trailers before Batman? Hey, this is French fucking auteur. Let's watch his next very intimate movie with 3 actors before the Batman movie.
All right. That's been Angst. That's been movies.
fuck.
We're gonna check out The Sixth Sense coming up next, and then we got something a little special planned as we reach 200 episodes. How about
yeah.
that? This is episode
Are you
198.
excited? Are you excited about that after watching it?
We'll see.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well, the
All right,
listeners
well,
are in for a
there's
treat.
Your teaser. There's your teaser for episode 200. I'm gonna be very excited for it. I don't think LowRes will. I don't know if we're gonna get any guests for it. We're working on it, but I think it's gonna be a lot of me just fighting.
Here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're
Army
gonna
of
do
people.
for episode 200. Every single person who has ever been a guest on movies will receive an invitation. However, they have to do their homework before they show up. They have to watch the movies signed. Otherwise, everyone's welcome to join. How many guests have we had now in the history of movies? Probably.
Fuck,
Let me just
20?
think off the top of my head as we extend this episode even longer, so it's not just
That's
an
not
hour.
good. Don't do that.
You
'cause
don't
then
like
you'll forget
that?
So much. You'll forget people. They just be like, "Oh, shit! I should have."
The
remembered,
first
Bobby."
guest, yeah, the first guest ever was Jerry. Jerry came in on episode 3, and then you and Jake were guests as well. But you were also filled in for me because I was trying to have this show be more NPR-esque. So I was like, all right, well, it's very important that we meet our weekly schedule here. So if I can't do it, then Jake's going to sub in for me as replacement host, guest host. You did that once. You did that a couple of times. You guys were the first 3 guests. Then I think the first guest that was outside of that was Jeff Holiday. So that's 3 now.
Okay.
Then there's like Brandy. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody in there. Nick Joroff.
Right. Jack.
Jack the perfume nationalist. Jack.
No, not him.
I'm still hungry, Jack. So that's
Right.
7. Who else we
Dylan.
got in there?
Remember Dylan? Wasn't he in an
Dylan.
episode?
No, that was no.
No.
No,
Was
he
that
never showed up.
before?
He just came back to Twitter, Dylan. I don't know if you saw his Twitter account. He's back.
Okay.
No, that was before. That was the time before.
All right.
Damn, I'm really forgetting. All right, let's just throw in Robbie, Nick,
Okay.
Dalton,
Dalton.
10,
Yeah.
Jake
Then
Hanrahan,
you have
11,
Brandon.
Brant,
Anthony.
Brendan,
Brandon.
and you called him Brandon to his face multiple
Always.
times too. It's like his
Always.
fourth time on
He
the
can
show.
deal with it. He's Portuguese. Shouldn't have been called Brandon. Fuck you. Should be called like Brandigio or something.
All right, that's 13.
We got oh no,
We could cheat right
Midnight
now and
Movie
just put
Cowboy.
all the Cowboy.
The Midnight Movie Cowboys episode never came out.
Oh yeah, well we had
But
Hunter.
We still had.
That's
Hunter
14.
A couple times, right?
Austin Wright, that's 15.
Tim Stavers.
Tim Stavers, 16.
Uh,
Kenny, that's 17.
Have we? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you had it for the Will Smith thing. Yeah.
He was on for when we were talking about Jackass and when we were citing what to
right.
anticipate with Jackass Forever. He was originally on for
Spencer?
that one. Spencer, yes. Spencer's one of the
Frank
top.
Austin?
Frank Austin, yeah.
William Kyle Girardi.
Yeah. 20. That's an even 20 now. See, we don't get...
Christopher Cleese or Flex Machine.
Yeah. Klesi.
Okay, 21.
Christopher Stuckman as well, 22 there.
True. Alex Schultz.
Alex Schultz, that's right, 23.
I'm cheating right now.
You're just going down the list now on iTunes.
Oh yeah, Oki. We had
Okay,
Porter.
Kino, that's 30.
It's Jacob already. Elroy. Oh no, Brendan. Was,
That was Brendan.
Dakota. We got Dakota.
Dakota Proctor, who's
yeah.
going to come back on very soon. That's 31.
Egg
we haven't.
White.
Egg White, that's right, 32.
We haven't what?
Kid Polaroid, 33.
Mario Cuomo, 34.
Mario Cuomo, 34.
Stan from Sewer City.
That's right. He'll be back on very soon as well. I think that might be it.
Comics. Did you have
That was Spencer and his co-host.
Oh, okay.
That might
Joff?
be it.
Was that Joff? Oh, G-Mac and Cave Moth?
G-Mac and Cave Moth. What is that, 36?
30, yeah. See, I'm telling you, you're going to forget people that you actually talk to, like, on the regular.
I know. I talk to on a regular basis. Zombie TV, 37.
Right.
This is compelling audio, I'm sure, trying to figure out,
yeah.
while we both cheat, while we both stare at the list here, trying to figure out who's in there that has been named.
I'm already on episode 76, so I think I'm pretty much done.
All right, so we've done almost 200 episodes now, and it's only been
Don
about...
Jolly.
Oh, yeah,
Don-
R.I.P. Don Jolly. Please come back.
Ashton
38.
Tate.
39. Also another two people who disappeared completely without a trace, Ashton Tate and Don Jolly. See, that's the benefit of operating under a pseudonym, is you can just vanish into thin air, and people can't really look into what happened.
Who was your mystery co-host on the Hate?
You! That was you.
Oh. Oh, right, me, of course. You got Christoph and Bon Tomahawk.
Oh, that's
40.
right. I forgot that Christoph, who is the editor over at Clash Books, which is a publishing
you had
house.
Justin Wang?
Yeah.
You had Justin Wang on the show?
Wow, I
That was
forgot
40
probably the biggest guest besides Stuckman.
That was 29.
That was the
Ricky
early
O
days.
was
So we had
41.
40. That's 41.
Hold on. You got Casey. That's 42. Casey Estrada.
Yes, yeah, 42. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
42 guests over 200 episodes. That's almost a quarter. So
It's not 200. Is it 200 episodes?
that's going to be 200 soon. This is 198.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
We did 100 episodes in a year. That's a lot.
Yeah. Go to patreon.com/LowRes. You fucks.
For the amount of episodes we record each
Help
month.
me. Help me quit my job. I hate it.
I think we should be having more patrons here. You know, I see how many people do listen, so we need a better turnover rate. Is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, not to sound ungrateful for those of you who have joined us.
Yeah. Thank you, but like do better.
Yes. All right. That has been movies for this week. Thank you for that. And you know what? That kind of sucks to just read off 40 names
Yeah, I don't want to.
for fucking
Yeah, it
7 minutes,
does.
8 minutes, and then be like, all right, that's the end of the show. But that's, I mean, look, we got a guest waiting for us right now.
Well, I mean, just look forward to the fact that on episode 200, there's going to be 42 people.
Yeah, we
against
got
me.
42 guests that will be coming right back. All right. To watch a cinema classic, a cinema treasure. All right. That's been movies for this week. Thank you for listening.